Hi, shalom friends. I'd like to talk to you about craziness, not in the medical sense or the psychological sense, but really more in the conventional sense, the way it's used in language, like, oh, it's a crazy world out there. What do we mean by crazy? When you think about it for a moment, there's one of the ways we think about craziness is not only that it's unconventional, it's really unpredictable. In other words, there's a normal, in italics, way of doing things. The normal way is many people have chosen a system or a set of axioms to act upon, and they get results. Almost always they get results. So it's predictable, and it's sensible, it's logical, it's normal. So, for example, if a person today in America, and you tell the person, would you like to get a well-paying job? And he says, of course. He said, at the very minimum, you need a high school diploma. Well, what happens if your kid is in ninth grade and says, I'm dropping out of school? And in spite of that, I'm expecting to get a well-paying, respectable job. Many people would say, that's crazy. What does it mean it's crazy? There have been people that have dropped out of school, and there are people that have respectable, well-paying jobs who don't have a high school diploma. And yet, it's not normal. It's not the way it's done. I mean, there's a system. He's jumping out of the system. So in that sense, craziness is tolerated at best, but just barely. In the Yiddish language, there's a very gentle way of presenting craziness. First of all, you might have heard the word meshuggah. A meshuggah is a crazy person, or meshuggah is acting crazy. But in Yiddish, there's a gentle statement. Das is halb meshuggah, other a bissel meshuggah, he's half crazy or a little bit crazy, in contrast to in ganzen meshuggah, completely crazy. It's almost as if we were to say he's acting a little crazy or he is insane. Insane is a much harsher condemnation of this behavior, whereas he's a little crazy could be tolerated, a bissel meshuggah. I would like to point out that craziness, a little bit of craziness, is not only to be tolerated, but should be admired. Because when you're crazy, you are empowered. I am sure that the first person who made the statement, I'm going to fly in the air, was considered not only eccentric, but downright crazy. And then when people saw him experimenting in whatever ways that they used to do it until it developed into the airplane as we know today, they said this man is crazy. And yet, it also empowered a person. He doesn't have to follow what everyone says because he's crazy. As a matter of fact, I once heard that in days of old, crazy people were not only tolerated, but to a certain extent were worshipped, because they acted so unusual. The normal people said that these are people touched by God. They have a special something with God, and therefore one should be careful about them. And this was translated even into those brutal Cossacks who were fearless and heartless in war. They had an unwritten statement that when it came to crazy people, leave them alone. Because they somehow felt that killing normal people they would get away with, but killing or murdering someone touched by God is already starting up with the gods, at least in the small g. So if you want to do something unusual and someone says you're crazy, take that as a compliment. Because that basically means that you're thinking out of the box and you're thinking differently than others. And who knows, perhaps that uniqueness of thought or uniqueness of emotion might actually trigger and create something something magnificent. Let's translate this into the Jewish people. I heard this story from a rabbi in Southern California. It was one of these really, really hot Sabbaths, and maybe in the high 80s. And he was walking to shul with a black hat and the traditional long black coat called a kapata. And he certainly could have left those parts of his uniform at home or at the synagogue. Doesn't say anywhere you must wear this, but it is a sign of a chassid. And being that he was a Chabad emissary, he wanted that when he was walking to shul, it was almost as an advertisement that there's a chassid in town and I'm celebrating my Sabbath. And of course, those of you that are interested are welcome to join me. So as he's walking, he could see the stairs, and he doesn't have to hear them utter the words. He knows they're saying it in their mind. This man is crazy. It's almost 90 degrees. He's wearing a black coat and a black hat. And as he's waiting to cross the street, he notices from the other side of the street a jogger who's pretty much naked other than a water bottle that he's carrying and some shorts. And this guy was really sweating profusely. And in order not to lose his rhythm, he was actually marking time. So opposite each other, one guy is dressed with a black hat and a black coat, and he's perspiring. And right across the street is a person who has very little article of clothing and is perspiring. And when the green light goes on, they both pass each other in crossing. And with a smile, the rabbi said, we both had the same thought. You're crazy. But just think about the story. It's not only an amusing story. Each one was crazy. This guy was crazy into fitness. And he wouldn't allow a hot day to interfere with his regimen of jogging. And the fact that most people were just going straight into an air-conditioned car or a business, that did not interfere with his desire to be as fit as possible, and he was going to jog even if it's 90 degrees. The other person, the rabbi, was saying, it is my Sabbath. This is a period of time which is holy. This is a period of time which we mark in celebration. We mark it with different prayers, with different foods, and with different articles of clothing, and I will do it. Both of them sticking up for their ideals, both of them celebrating their uniqueness. Which one was crazy? Which one was crazier? The answer is, I leave it up to you. But one thing is for sure. Instead of condemning, there might have been people who said, man, I admire this guy. No matter how hot it is, he goes out to jog. And someone else would say, I admire this rabbi. My gosh, no matter how hot it is, he is celebrating that he is a Jew who is worshiping the Creator. Today I hear about people who take extra hours and extra jobs to make more money. And then we find a fellow Jew who says, yes, it is true that we need extra hours to make extra income, but I actually keep the Sabbath. So I don't work 7 days a week. I don't even work 6 days a week because actually I take off on Friday early afternoon to prepare for the Sabbath. So his neighbor says, listen here. People are taking double jobs to make it, and you're taking off a day and a half every single week? And he says, yeah, I'm Jewish. And the guy says, you must be crazy. And the response is, happily so. Today there are people who have chosen, to me it's unthinkable, but have chosen not to have children. And occasionally when you ask them, like, why did you make such a drastic choice? I mean, this is an important choice in life, not to bring life into this world. They say, look, we just don't have the patience, the time. It interferes with our growth as human beings, and most of all, it's just financially untenable. We're really making it. How can we feed, clothe, and educate children in the plural? And then you go to another family another couple down the street, and you ask them, are you hoping for children? We're praying daily for it. And when will you stop? 1 or 2? And they laugh at you. As much as God will give. If we could have a family of 14, we would be delighted. And you look at them and you say, are you kidding? No. You guys are a bit crazy. He said, we know that. Happily crazy. Because crazy people are touched by God. Crazy people have strength. Crazy people swim against the current. Crazy people are creative. Crazy people are crazy. But nicht den ganzen, not completely insane. A bissel of meshuggah. So I want to give you a strange blessing. The strange blessing is celebrate your craziness. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your faith. Celebrate your commitment. Celebrate your belief. Now, not everyone is doing it. That's okay. It's good to be crazy. Shalom.